I'm at the steel shop picking up some final pieces so I can finish a piece of gym equipment that I'm building for a customer. But it's happened a few times this year, actually. The past couple months, there's probably been 3 different occasions where people will randomly call me locally and ask if I'm able to build something for them. And I'm not advertising that at all, but it's made me start to think about the possibility of maybe just starting this as an official side business, maybe advertising it a little bit. But growing up, it was just natural and normal that you kind of knew how to do everything. You learned how to work with electrical, and you learned how to work, basic plumbing and carpentry and mechanical skills and, drywall and things like that. Like, you should be able to maintain your property, whether it's your house and everything in your house or it's the vehicle you drive. Like, you should know how to maintain it and fix it. I had bought my very first welder, a little stick welder. I'm sorry, I take that back. It wasn't a stick welder. My very first welder was a flux wire welder from Harbor Freight. It was the Chicago Electric one, 90 amps. If you know what I'm talking about, the original one, 110 volt, very, very, very basic. But that allowed me to start messing with metal and figuring out through trial and error how welding works. And when I came to Taiwan, one of the first things I wanted to do was get a real welder. And I don't need anything fancy for my basic stuff. For my little workshop, I just bought a stick welder. Basic 220 volt stick welder. And with just a stick welder and an angle grinder, a little Makita angle grinder, that was enough to do 90% of everything. If you've got a tape measure, an angle grinder, and a welder, it's insane the number of stuff, the amount of stuff you can do. The electrodes, the actual sticks that you use to weld with, those things are cheap. I spend less than $20 on a 5 kilogram box of the type of electrodes I most commonly use. And I have a few different types to choose from, obviously, depending on a specialized project, but most of the time I'm just running 60-13 or something like that. It's real basic stuff. And that one box, that 5 kilogram box, will last me, just doing little side projects in the garage or in my workshop, it'll last me a better part of a year. Even if I'm doing a lot of stuff. The vast majority of a structure is not made of welds. It's made of the actual steel you buy from a place like this. The welds are just small little parts that keeps it together. So the welder is cheap, and you can buy them anywhere. It's reliable, it'll last forever. The electrodes are cheap, and they'll last for a long time. Steel itself, as much as prices have changed, it's still cheap. The thing I'm gonna deliver this weekend, I'm getting the finishing touches so I can finish it. It is a lat tower. The guy called me, said he wanted me to build him a lat tower like I built for myself, with a high pull, the pull down, and then the low row option. But he wanted it to be more budget friendly. I said, okay, and I calculated everything, and I figured, all right, well, I can make yours do the exact same stuff mine does, and it'll be just as commercial quality. Heavy duty steel, linear bearings, which is actually nicer than mine. Mine uses bushings to slide the weight stack. His, to save money, he's using, it's gonna be plate loaded, and because it's plate loaded, and plate loaded can sometimes be unevenly stacked and this and that, I didn't want him to have any problems with the smoothness or the use of this machine, so I just upgraded him to linear bearings. But even then, everything heavy duty commercial quality steel, except I'm using 2-inch square tubing rather than 3-inch. And I calculated how much did I pay for all the materials. Every little itty bitty thing, nothing overlooked. What was the final cost out the door for every single ounce of material on that entire thing from start to finish, including the welding rods, including the cutting disc to cut the steel, including what I calculate to be the electricity used to run the welder, including the can of spray paint to do a quick coat over something just so it doesn't oxidize in the meantime. The final cost for everything for this build is around $150 US for materials. And this thing is nicer and of higher quality than most actual commercial pieces you'd see in a gym. Being able to make stuff on your own or fix stuff is obviously a good quality to have. But you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to buy the fanciest, most high-end stuff. I have no bandsaw. I have no dry cut saw. All my cutting, an angle grinder. All of my welds, stick welder. Cheap, basic stick welder. Anyway, I'm gonna grab this steel and finish this project.